Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, and Southwest Suffolk County on Long Island, serving the entire New York, New Jersey tri-state area, making sure that your home is working well and it's prepared in case there's a tropical storm or a hurricane. And come wintertime, they are the largest supplier of rock salt, especially for Long Island. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. We're going to start with Tropical Storm Fiona. And one of the things we're noticing on the satellite loop is the fact that the center of Fiona is mostly exposed here. There's not a whole lot going on the west side. Most of the convection is well east of the center, so it's not the most organized tropical storm in the world. In fact, if you notice, the movement has been very slowly to the west. You have higher clouds that are blowing out to the east with the outflow here. A little bit of feathering going on, which is something we always look for, see if maybe it might be getting ready to strengthen a bit down the road. But as long as that center is exposed, it's going to be a fight here. There is some wind shear going on as it heads towards the west, and you can see on the left the Northern Leeward Islands coming into the screen. This is a floater imagery. In other words, the storm stays pretty much in the middle of the picture all the way through, and the geography actually moves. So it can be a little weird to look at first, but once you get used to it, you get the idea, and it's helpful, especially when it comes to seeing what's actually going on in and around the center of the storm. A lot of the intensity models, about half of them make this a hurricane, and half of them just keep it as a tropical storm. And one of the things we're noticing is that there's sort of a split between whether the system stays weak, in which case it'll probably track further to the west, or if it does eventually pass, say, north of most of the islands, avoiding the mountainous terrain, and then it becomes perhaps a stronger tropical storm or even a hurricane. But then, as it gets stronger, it's going to want to try to take a track a little bit more to the right. So that's why you're seeing this sort of curving here to the northwest in time, and even a few of the models turning it to the northward. But we've got a long way to go on this. This thing is really moving very, very slowly. The movement from where it is now to where you see it at the end of these model runs are all out over a week from now. So there's much that can change with regards to this. And with respect to the actual positions, now these are this is as of 11 a.m. Eastern Time, so we have the new advisory. The position here is at 16.6 and 54.3. Maximum winds are 50 miles an hour, moving west at 14. And you see the hurricane center's track for the next 5 days, moving generally on a west course at about 14, 15 miles an hour, and they have it moving over Puerto Rico, the Northern Leeward Islands, over Puerto Rico or just south of Puerto Rico, and then making a turn as it heads towards the Dominican Republic and going by up to the north, keeping it as a tropical storm all the way through. We're going to update all of this and look at the long-range models tonight, of course, on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. I just want to maybe just give you a quick preview here with regards to this. The longer range pattern on the upper air. So we've got great weather here in the east going into the weekend. And of course, there's this upper high that builds down in Oklahoma and in Texas. And you can see on the lower right, we have Fiona there. And it starts to turn northward. There's a trough that moves offshore early next week in the eastern part of the United States. It seems to miss that. The ridge starts to build back, and this is where it gets a little tricky, where it moves back northwestward and westward for a while before making a turn north. Passing offshore, the GFS wants to drop another trough down here into the, and it's been doing this on and off, this system here, and the timing of this will impact the track of the system out to the east. The other thing I just want to point out that the other models here are totally different with regards to where this is going. The European has a whole different upper air setup with regards to Fiona, and we'll take a look at this. So, it has the same trough dropping into the east on Tuesday, not as strong, but it doesn't have the storm as far north at that point. And the upper ridge builds back in West Texas. The next trough comes barreling, instead of dropping down into the plains and upper Midwest, it comes barreling down into the eastern part of the United States, bringing a rather strong cold front through and some very cool air for the end of next week and into next weekend. And there's Fiona, east of the Bahamas, gets caught by that trough and then just gets ejected out to the east. And then, of course, we could go on with the fact that the weakest Canadian model, for example, keeps it so weak that it just keeps moving west forever until it gets to the Gulf of Mexico. And that's a possibility, too, if this system winds up being weak for the next, it doesn't really doesn't really develop too much. Meanwhile, let's just really quick run through our local weather because it's fairly straightforward here. Beautiful blue skies and sunshine that we have today. The radars are nice and quiet in the east from Maine down into northern Florida. You see some action up in the western lakes and up in the northern plains and northern Rockies with some showers there, and also down into Florida. But really, nothing much happening. And looking at the rainfall for the next 7 days, is for southern New England down into the southeastern part of the United States, and except for the immediate Gulf Coast, go all the way westward. Not a drop of rain is forecast for the next week. You got some rain in upstate New York and northern New England with some weather systems that'll be going by through southeastern Canada, but that really just about does it. So a quick check here of the surface map. We are going to turn very warm, by the way. We've got very cool, coolest air is coming in today and for tonight, and into also Friday night into Saturday morning. Then it's going to pull out and it's going to warm up quick and turn more humid by the time we get to Sunday. So enjoy this beautiful dry weather while we have it. You'll notice the high settling in along the East Coast, moves off of New England and east of New Jersey. The European has now joined the GFS in the idea that a weather system to the north stays to the north on Sunday. It'll be a very warm and humid day. I'm thinking we'll be back into the 80s on Saturday, and we probably could see middle or even upper 80s on Sunday, depending on how much sun we get. And then a weak front comes through on Monday night, perhaps with a shower or a thunderstorm. The air behind that front is not really all that cool. And a stronger cold front, which is how the European telegraphs this, for the end of the week, bringing down a rather very much an autumn air mass, a very cool air mass into the Great Lakes and into the eastern part of the United States, keeping Fiona out to the east. So we're going to leave it at that at this point. Weather in 5 brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. And the phone number is 631-756-1125. Best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. So we'll keep our eyes to see what the models do with regards to the Fionas. The new model run cycle starts at midday. And we'll update this all on the Joe and Joe Weather Show tonight at 7:30 Eastern.